One of the most important concerns that we need to address nowadays is our mental health. With the abrupt shift to new normal academic setup due to COVID-19 pandemic, many are experiencing anxiety and emotional stress. To ensure our mental health, let us be enlightened with some tips from Professor Maria Juna A. Ligid, Faculty of the Psychology Department. Professor Maria Juna A. Ligid, RPM, is a full-time faculty member of the Department of Psychology and Related Services in Mindanao State University, Marawi City. Presently, she is assigned as Program Coordinator for the BS Psychology program in MSU Main Campus, Sindangan Extension. She is a licensed psychometrician and is currently pursuing a PhD in Clinical Psychology at Silliman University. She is also a trainee to the ongoing Advanced Psychological Care Training for Psychology Practitioners in Mindanao by the International Committee of the Red Cross. Her current work engagements, aside from teaching, includes volunteer and training activities, as well as creating and supervising internship programs focused on mental health campaigns, counseling, and referrals.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to this lecture, Looking After Your Mental Health, Tips for Students. In this presentation, the objectives are for you to understand what mental health is, why it is important, and what steps you can do to look after your mental health. In this presentation, there will be 4 sections. First, I will discuss concepts related to mental health. Second, I will discuss ways in how we can look after our mental health. Third, I will give suggestions how to optimize your distance or flexible learning and still maintain your mental health. And fourth, I will discuss the importance of help seeking and to whom and where to get it. Before anything else, let me state this very short quote I got from the internet, which says, "It is well. No matter how difficult we find our situation is, due to the challenges brought upon us by the pandemic, still let us look at the brighter side and believe that things are well. Our attitude towards our circumstance, our situation, will influence how we will be dealing with it. When we believe that things are well, then we are too." Anyway, the first topic in this presentation is to clarify what is mental health and how important it is. Most of the time, people perceive mental health as something negative and more associated with psychological disorders or disabilities. To clarify that, the World Health Organization defined mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes one's own abilities and potentials, copes adequately with the normal stresses of life, displays resilience in the face of extreme life events, works productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a positive contribution to the community. This definition is also adapted by our own Philippine law, Republic Act 11036, or known as the Philippine Mental Health Act. This definition emphasizes the positive impact of having mental health to the different aspects of our functioning. Being healthy, resilient, and productive not only for ourselves, but even for our communities. Mental health means mental wellness, not mental illness. It is a positive state of mental health, and being mentally well means that your mind is in order and functioning in your best interest. You are able to think, feel, and act in ways that create a positive impact on your physical and social well-being. During our present times where we are in the new normal, we face many challenges and difficulties due to the abrupt challenges in the way we live in our lives. The fact that we cannot do anymore what we want to do, just like physical interacting with our friends, it can become so frustrating that it will stress us to the core. Nowadays, for most of us, mental wellness is really about coping, dealing with our life stressors in order to maintain our mental health and emotional well-being. This is a task that is highly individualized. How we cope and whether it is effective for us or not depends largely upon our own effort. In a model of mental health construed by Corey L.M. Reyes, mental health exists on a continuum. It can change, move up and down, depending on different circumstances. It can get better or worse. All of us have our own mental health, and it can be anywhere in the continuum, depending on the internal and external faculties of a person at any time. He can lie at one point at the continuum and shift position as his situation improves or deteriorates. This means you can either go from being healthy and move along the scale until you are eventually ill, or you can go from being ill through to being healthy. Where we sit on the continuum at any point in time will shift depending on life experiences, the cumulative level of stress, levels of resilience, both the natural and the learned, and levels of support, especially social support. There are distinct markers within the mental health continuum. On the extreme right, we see the healthy point, like excelling, and next to it is the thriving. People who lie at this point are generally satisfied and happy in their lives. They are emotionally well balanced, stable, and goal oriented. In the middle range of the continuum is the problematic point, where people at this point may show some distress and inability to cope. However, they're still capable of performing daily life functions. We can say they are surviving. In the left side, we see the distress point, both the struggling and in crisis. This is the end of the continuum, and as the name suggests, people falling under this category are unable to cope with stress and exhibit significant changes in their thoughts, their behavior, and their actions. It is important that we should be aware of where we are on the continuum and know the signs that indicate we may need to use additional coping strategies or seek help to maintain our performance and our mental health. There are many factors that influence and affect our mental health. As you can see in this diagram, different aspects in our life, the physical or the biological, the social, and the psychological, all contribute to what will become of our health, both in the mental and in the physical levels. As we can see, these factors are interrelated and at the same time interdependent with each other, and we really cannot separate our mental health from that of our physical health. As the saying goes, mens sana in corpore sano, sound mind in a sound body. In the diagram, it shows, for example, that aspects of our social life, like our family relationships, our experiences with our peers in the neighborhood or in school interacts with our psychological aspects like our self-esteem, our social skills, our coping skills, whether or not we have trauma, etc. And this in turn is influenced by our physical aspects, like whether we have a disability, we are physically healthy, or we have an illness, or we are under the influence of a drug. So, halimbawa ang isang individual na masakitin at may kapansanan ay maaaring magkaroon ng mababang pagtingin sa sarili, no? Low self-esteem. Kung halimbawa sa loob ng pamilya niya o sa paaralan, siya ay nakakaranas ng pambubuli dahil sa kanyang disability. Ngunit hindi naman lahat ng may kapansanan magkakaroon ng low self-esteem kung ang kanilang paligid ay sumusuporta sa kagalingan nila. Masaklap para sa isang tao na may kapansanan o kahit may pinagdadaanan lamang at hindi nakakakuha o nakakatanggap ng social support sa mga taong nakapaligid sa kanya. Mahirap sa kanila ang mag-cope, maging resilient. Kung kaya't sa paglipas ng panahon, maapektuhan na rin ang kanilang mental health. So one thing that strains us the most is our experience of stress. Stress is a negative emotional state occurring in response to events perceived as taxing or exceeding a person's resources or ability to cope. Anything from our experiences in the different aspects of our being can become a stressor when it presses us and we have to deal with it to get rid of the pressure. But however, not all stressors have negative impact on us. Sometimes stress is healthy for us to be alert, to be in attention, to give out the best that we can do in a given situation. This is called eustress or positive stress. However, when we have difficulty dealing with our hassles and pressures, it will lead us to distress. And in prolonged periods, it can deplete our resources. So this slide here shows our natural stress response. This is Hans Selye's idea of the general adaptation syndrome. When we are stressed, our body prepares for a flight or fight response. Meaning either tayo ay haharap sa stressor or sa problema, or tayo ay lalayo, lilipad, flee away from the stressor or the problem. In tense or emergency situation, we either face up to our stressor and fight, or we flee away from it. So whatever our response is, we needed the energy to make the reaction. Thus, we observe our body to be physically aroused, and a rush of adrenaline is experienced. This is referred to as the alarm stage. Before this stage, we are in a balanced, healthy state. There is homeostasis. But the onset of stressors can upset this balance, and so we begin responding to stress. As the stress goes on, our body continues to utilize its resources in order to maintain our body's prolonged alertness in stress response. This is the resistance stage. We are okay in this level and we are able to tackle our stress. However, if the stressor extends for a much longer period of time and it is not handled, it is not dealt with or eliminated, our resources gets depleted and we will be in the point of exhaustion. We break down, experience burnout, and we may enter the panic zone. This will be no longer healthy for us. This may be a start of a mental health problem or issue. Referring back to the continuum, this may be indicative of the problem point. Then if we still see the person fail to appropriately deal with the stressor, especially if it is multiple in nature, then it can overwhelm the person and she may move to the struggling phase. At this point, seeking support may be advantageous to the individual, so he or she is helped to address his or her concern. If not, and the stressor is still not dealt with, the person may reach crisis mode. So here we have in this slide one way of looking after our mental health is to actually manage our stress. So we see here deep breathing, joint exercises, and free body movements as one way of physically dealing with our stress. On the left, we also see here a set of box where it indicates some kind of techniques or tips in called the 4A's of stress management. So very important, and a study shows deep and slow breathing is one effective technique. Slow breathing is a basic strategy for relaxation or managing physical symptoms of stress and anxiety. When we feel stressed or anxious, our natural physical response is for our breathing to quicken. Bibilis yung paghinga natin, and to take place in the chest, and it becomes shallower. So, kung tayo nasi-stress, mabilis ang paghinga natin, and usually the breathing is through the chest, and it is shallower. So, as mentioned in the previous slide, when we are in the alarm stage, our body is preparing for a fight or a flight response. And so therefore, inside the body, the sympathetic system is activated, and thereby it makes the body aroused. So we notice that our heartbeat is increased, our respiration rate is increased, and our body really is feeling the tension caused by this stressor. We are in the alarm stage and we are fully alert. Now, this change might be very subtle and we may not even notice it, but later on we will notice that the after effects of this change in our breathing. For example, we might have headache, we might have chest pains, we feel tired, we feel dizzy, and so on. So what we do when we are stressed is to try to slow the rate of breathing and taking breaths from the stomach instead of the chest. So when we do this, so instead of the quick, the shallow and through the chest kind of breathing, we try to make it slow, deep, and through the stomach kind of breathing. When we do that, we will be sending a message to the brain that we are relaxed and calm. So when the brain receives that kind of message, it tells the body to rest. Like it tells the muscles and it tells the heart that they have to rest. And so this message and the whole body begins to relax. So being relatively calm and relaxed is an important state to be in, especially if a person needs to make important decisions or when facing difficult situations. So you might ask, so how to breathe? How to do this deep and slow breathing through the stomach? So what you do is like, of course, you sit comfortably. Then you try to imagine that there's a balloon inside your stomach, and then you have to blow the balloon up. That is when your stomach should expand when you breathe in. Like, okay, when you say breathe in, when you breathe in, your stomach should become bigger, like the balloon being blown up. So we are aiming to not breathe in the chest or with the chest, because from the chest it's more shallow, but instead we breathe with our stomach. So you place one hand on your stomach and then you breathe deeply. Maybe you count 1 to 10 before you release your breath. And as you breathe in, feel that your stomach is filled with air. And then slowly, after your counting of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you release and then you exhale. And then that's another count of 1, 2, 3. And so your stomach will deflate. And then when you breathe in again, your stomach will inflate again, 1, 2, 3. And then you breathe out, your stomach will deflate, 1, 2, 3. So you do that in many repetitions. And that's one very effective way of calming yourself, relaxing yourself in times when you are in a stressful situation. Okay. Now, another one is another way of managing your stress is to do joint exercises. So, like for example, ankle roll. You roll your ankles, you move your toes up and down, you knee roll, hip pelvic roll, moving your body, finger rolls, wrist roll, like that. Elbow flex, so you flex your elbow, you move your shoulder, your neck, you roll it, and these are all joint exercises. And you can also do free bodily movements, like you stretch your body, you kick your legs, you bend forwards, bend backwards, shake your hands, shake your body, entire body. If you want to dance, you can dance. You can do just anything, just free movements. So what's the rationale behind that? That allows your body to release the energy, release the tension that is being created because of your body's response to the alarm stage or to the stressor that is pressing on you. So we have to remember that when we are stressed or in a highly emotional situation, the stress center in our brain is activated, thereby generating that fight or flight response. So the response is more instinctive and more emotional in nature, as it is being regulated by the lower levels of our brain, particularly the limbic system. And that's away from the cortex, that section of the brain that is actually more focused on higher brain functioning, like planning, analysis, and so on. But so when we are in a panic mode or when we are in a emergency situation, it's more of the lower levels of the brain that is activated, and so the response is more instinctive and more emotional. So, but when we relax, when we try to tell our brain that we are calm and we are relaxed, then the brain can begin to process information in a more rational way. Because by then, the part of the brain that will be catering this information, once the body is relaxed, is the cortical area. And that's where you can see things better, you can understand things better, see a wider perspective. More or less, you'll be having a rational thought and a rational evaluation of what happened or what's in your situation. So that is why it's very important that when we are in this kind of situation and when we are stressed, we help our body to relax so that our brain can also process information properly. And so we will not be behaving in an emotional level or instinctive level, but instead we are more rational in our response. So the deep breathing, the joint exercises, the free bodily movements, these are all referred to as physical techniques of combating stress. But of course, the other way of managing our stress, a more problem-focused one, is this what we call the 4 A's of stress management. Avoiding unnecessary stress, altering the situation, adapting to the stressor, and accepting the unchangeable, accepting those that are not those that are beyond our control. So if you look at the slide, you can see there what are these things that we do to avoid, to alter, to adapt, and to accept. So another way to look after our mental health, another concept that I'm introducing here is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of purposely focusing your attention on the present moment and accepting it without judgment. Meaning, we have this human ability to be fully present, to be aware of where we are, and what we are doing. So we will not be overly reactive or overwhelmed by what is going on around us. Basically, when we do mindfulness activities, it means that we are not overthinking. We are not loading our thoughts with so many things and so many concerns. In mindfulness, you just have to be present in the moment. You have to accept whatever it is in your surrounding. No judgment that you have to give to it. You have to be fully present, aware of where you are, aware of what you are doing, and you're just focused onto that kind of present. In mindfulness, it will help us improve our physical health. It helps relieve our stress. It can treat our heart disease. It lowers our blood pressure. It can reduce chronic pain, improve our sleep, and alleviate gastrointestinal difficulties. So it has a lot of physical benefits. Mindfulness also improves our mental health. Mindfulness meditation has been an important element in the treatment of problems like depression, substance abuse, eating disorders, couples conflict, anxiety disorders, and etc. So, mindfulness really is when you are in the present, staying in the present, you are actually behaving you well within yourself. You are not overly thinking of things. Okay. Now, how to be being mindful in everyday life. So, like for example, mindfulness meditation. Sit quietly and focus on your natural breathing, or on a word or mantra maybe that you have. You repeat words silently, a certain mantra. Allow thoughts to come and go without judgment and return to your focus on breathing or your mantra. You may also focus on your bodily sensations. Notice subtle body sensations such as itch or tingling without judgment and let them pass. Notice each part of your body in succession from head to toe. Sensory sensations, notice sights, sounds, smell, taste, touch. Maybe you can name what you are seeing, name what you are hearing, what you are smelling, what you are tasting, what you are touching, and without necessarily judging what those things are. Just feel it and just letting it go. Emotions, like allowing emotions to be present without judgment. Practice a steady and relaxed naming of emotions. For example, recognizing your joy. If you are angry, then recognizing your anger, your frustration. Just be there in that moment and just allow your emotions to be there, and then later on letting them go. Accept the presence of the emotions, then without judgment, and then let them go. So some things here, example of mindful eating, being mindful in your interactions, being mindful, engaging in activities mindfully, pausing throughout the day. So like for example, in mindful eating, as you eat, please do not multitask, do not scroll over your phones. Just focus on the food that you're eating. Savor its flavor, how it looks, how it smells, what's its taste. And just be there with your food, no? And not thinking of some other things, not loading your mind with some other things or text messages and many concerns. That's an example of practice mindful eating. Or be mindful in your interactions when you interact with other people. So leave out your phones and do not think of some other individuals. Just focus on the person you are talking with and the topic that you are talking about. So that's being mindful in your interactions. Okay. And all throughout the day, when you have so many tasks to do, take those quick pauses. Like maybe for some 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you you stop your task or activity and then just take a pause. Maybe take a walk and then feel the surrounding as you walk, or maybe look at your environment, look at nature, appreciate what you see in nature, and freeing yourself with some other concerns. And before you go back to your next task, that's what we mean with being mindful in everyday life. Now, another way of looking at our mental health or looking after our mental health is, of course, self-care. Self-care is any activity that we do to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. Self-care is another very important step we can engage with to protect our mental health. Given the stressful and anxiety-filled lifestyle we have at present, it must be that we have to take good care of ourselves. Self-care is any activity that we do to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. So how do we do self-care? So you see here in my slide, no, I tried to come up with an acronym for all the things that you have to remember, so it's easier for you to remember how to do self-care. So you see there, caring for your body, eating healthy diet, staying active, meaning engaging with some forms of exercise, having quality sleep, sleeping, having enough amount of sleep and quality sleep. Then activities that gives you meaning and purpose. Like, what are these things that you like to do, that you enjoy doing? For example, music, listening to music, or you yourself is singing, dancing, or painting if you are an artist. So those things that makes you enjoy the activity. Or maybe you can do some volunteer work and you find meaning in those works. And like, you can also keep in touch with people people who matters to you, people whom you haven't talked with for quite some time now. Maybe you can reach out to them and talk to them, ask how they are, and then that will invigorate you. Okay. Then also, of course, taking a break, have a rest, take a rest, recreation, relaxation, and also expressing yourself, talking about your feelings. When sometimes there are things that you are going through, your mind is full of so many concerns, anxieties, and so you want to unload these emotional baggages that you have. It's all right to find someone whom you trust, a friend maybe, a relative maybe, somebody whom you're comfortable with talking about yourself and how you are feeling and how you basically you are at that particular time. Then, of course, also seeking help. Very important. If you feel that things really are becoming unmanageable, it becomes overwhelming, then don't hesitate to seek help. There are people out there like counselors, like therapists, psychologists at that, who are willing to help you process your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. So you'd be able to manage them better. So remember, it's simply cares. To do self-care is to do cares. Okay, here, the golden rule of self-care. So first, you have to stick to the basic, meaning you have to know your body, know your self needs, and find ways to address this. Taking care of yourself is not being selfish. Remember that. It is not being selfish to love and to take care of yourself. But it is protecting and it is preserving yourself so that you can help more and you can share more of yourself to others. Second, self-care is an active choice, meaning it is intentional. It is not accidental. So you have to make it part of your habit, make it part of your choice to really do activities to ensure your self-care. That's very important. And in everything that you do, be aware of what you do, why you do it, how it feels, and what the outcomes are. Have a better insight of yourself and the things it is going through. So that's self-care. Another thing that we have to remember as part of uh, our effort to protect our mental health is in emotion regulation. In emotion regulation, it is a multifaceted construct which includes our awareness, our understanding, and acceptance of our emotion. This is the ability to control impulsive behaviors when experiencing negative emotions and the ability to modify strategies for managing emotions according to situational demands and goals. So, emotion regulation is our ability to identify and recognize uh, ano yung mga nararamdaman natin in a particular situation. Ability na maghunos dili ka. Kumbaga, mag-control ka ng reaction mo upang hindi ka maging padalos-dalos. Huwag ka agad mag-react, huwag ka agad magwala, huwag ka agad magsalita ng masasama at masasakit. Lalo na sa mga panahon na ang sitwasyon ay hindi kaaya-aya o hindi maganda. So, it's an ability to know paano mo dalhin yung nararamdaman mo, paano mo ilalabas yung emosyon mo na nararapat sa sitwasyon o sa mga pangyayari. Kumbaga, kalmado lang, kayang-kayang ilagay lang sa tama yung mga pakaramdam mo. No? Even if you are feeling very strong emotions, but you have to compose yourself and you have to regulate how you are feeling and how you are expressing these emotions. You might ask, but how to do it? How to do emotion regulation? So again, I made up an acronym for you. So we call that emotion. One, you have to evaluate yourself and your situation. Parang the key here is have self-awareness. Notice what you feel, and naming what you feel is a great step toward emotion regulation. For example, when you feel bad, you ask yourself, am I feeling sad? Am I hopeless? Am I ashamed? Am I anxious? So it's like, because when you're feeling bad here means a lot of things. So you have to really be sure and have to identify which emotion is it that you are truly feeling. So that's self-awareness. And another is mindful awareness. Explore and identify all aspects of your external world, including your body. Simple mindful exercises such as breathing control or sensory relaxation can calm the storm inside you and guide your actions in the right way. So just be aware, no? Before any display of your emotion, just become aware of what's going on inside your body, what's going on inside your thinking, and what's going on around you, your surroundings. So you have to be mindful about your awareness of all these things going on around. Then owning to yourself, or we call it self-compassion. Setting aside some time for yourself every day is a great way to build emotional regulation skills. Like reminding yourself of what talents you have, what virtues you have, what values you hold, letting your minds land on a space where you can immensely change the way you feel and react to your emotion. Do positive self-affirmations, like for example, telling yourself, I am beautiful and people like me. You see, when you fill your thoughts with positive vibes about yourself, you will feel it too. And if you think you are beautiful, you will feel beautiful, and then this will express itself in your actions and even in your aura. So, yeah, load yourself with these self-affirmations. Then another one is reframing or reappraisal, reevaluating, changing your perspective, altering the way you think, adapting another perspective, like doing thought replacement or situational role reversal. Like, for example, like you may think that my teacher does not like me. I can no longer carry on with this. No? Instead of having that kind of thought, you reappraise it, you restructure it. Maybe your alternative thought or perspective will be, my teacher is upset or is pressured at this moment, so I am sure I can make up for this. Or I know I am hardworking and honest. Let me take a short rest and then let me give it another try. So that's reframing. You are changing your perspective. You are trying to see the positive out from that negative experience that you may have. Okay, so by doing so, we gain a broader and better perception of our problems, and then we react to them with more positivity. Next to that is intentional reduction of strong reactions. Be aware of your strong reactions. No? Learn adaptability. So regulate your emotions. Um, a great exercise to build adaptability is objective evaluation. What is this? For example, when you feel bogged down by stressful emotions that you want to avoid, and you might end up distractively reacting to them. Now, take a moment to think, what if, for example, your best friend was experiencing the same thing? What would you have suggested to him or her under these circumstances? So you are like changing, evaluating your situation. So what if, suppose these things that happen to you happen to your friend, and what would be your advice to your friend if that's the case? So whatever your answers to that question, try to think more of it and then try to follow it yourself. That suggestion that you're supposed to give to your friend, try to follow it yourself. And then in that way, you'll be able to regulate your emotion. Then, of course, you have to seek for ongoing support. For one, first and foremost, you have to support yourself. You have to uh, affirm yourself and give emotional support to yourself. And then also you have to draw some support from significant others. No? We call them your social support. So it could be your friend, could be your family, your parents, your siblings, your relative, or anyone who is very significant to you and who can give you that emotional support. And lastly, noticing one's needs and addressing it. You have to be kind to yourself and recognize your needs, especially your emotional needs. And if you feel that you are having these negative emotions, then attempt to soothe yourself. Self-soothing in any form can reduce the toxic effects of anger, of sadness, of agony that negative experiences bring. So scientists believe that self-soothing, as opposed to self-confrontation, guarantees better and quicker answers when it comes to managing thoughts and emotions. Self-soothing example can be like music meditation, good memory recollection, breathing exercises, self-care activities, hot bath, relaxing massage, cooking for yourself, etc., etc. So, like that. Staying positive. It's another way of maintaining your mental health. So here, you have to um, write about a positive future, your hopes for the future, searching for the silver lining, like in about your, like you ask yourself these questions. For example, how have I grown from this situation? Are my relationships stronger now? Have I developed new skill? What am I proud of about the way I handled this situation? So things like that. No, you are searching for your silver lining. So with this, you are fostering optimism. Another is writing or practicing gratitude, like writing a gratitude journal, sharing your good news to others, how grateful you are for what happened in your life, and savor. Like, yes, you stop and smell the roses, you stop and appreciate the nature around you, you look at them, you touch them. That's savoring your environment and out of your gratefulness for the beauty that you see around. So do whatever you can to really soak in the lovelier aspects of your life. And lastly, of course, avoid negative thinking. Avoid dwelling on downers. Ask yourself if the issue is really worth your energy. Will this issue matter in a year, for example? So if it doesn't matter for a year, so maybe do not dwell in that. You just move forward from that. Avoid unhealthy self-talk. Do not blame yourself. Do not engage into talks where you are blaming yourself, you are putting down yourself. No. Avoid. Those are what we call unhealthy self-talk. Consider alternative explanations and also refute your negative thoughts. Get rid of some negative thoughts that you may have about yourself so that you can avoid negative thinking. Okay, so considering that classes for the first semester has started already, it is also very wise for us students to be prepared and ready to tackle the demands of flexible learning in order to lessen the impact of stressors brought upon by this new mode of academic life. So the following suggestions are provided to help as a guide for you. So again, there's an acronym here, learnings. So first, to have to identify your learning style. Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a morning person? Are you a night person? What's the importance of knowing that? Because if you're a visual learner, then look for materials that are visual in form, like in pictures, in images, in videos, so you can absorb more of the information presented there. If you're an auditory learner, maybe you can look for materials that are in podcast form, so you can listen to them. If you're a night person, then schedule your study hours during the day. If you're a night person, of course, a lot of your study hours will be during nighttime. So like that, no? So you are maximizing your learning style. Now, make sure that you have a dedicated study space. I know some of you in your homes, you may not have really your own room. But at least try to find ways to allocate or a section in your home, a space, even a little space for you, where that will become your study space. And then you can also orient the members of your family that once you are in your study space and once you're seriously attending to class, then they're not supposed to disturb you. Once they see you in your study space, then they're not supposed to disturb you. Ask for help. So when you feel that there are things that you don't know how to do, or you're being overwhelmed by the task that you are about to do, so it's never wrong to ask for help. So seeking help is never a sign of weakness. Instead, it indicates maturity, knowing when, knowing how, and knowing where to get help. Of course, give yourself time to rest, to relax. And if, for example, when your class is straight and all synchronous in nature, so get up for some few minutes, get up, move or stretch for some time to make your body active. After a major accomplishment, like after exam, after submitting a requirement, then reward yourself, go out and have fun. Of course, do not forget the minimum health protocols when you are out and having some kind of fun. Okay, of course, take note of important concepts, even if your teacher made all the materials available in Google Classroom or give you the links to all the materials that you can use. It is still wise to take notes of important concepts. Because when you take down notes, then you are giving yourself more opportunity for the information to be stamped in your memory. Sometimes when you just passively watch a material or listen, sometimes you get sleepy, you drowse off sometimes even, and so you cannot really absorb the information. So take effort in taking notes of important concepts. Of course, you have to indicate your deadlines. Set deadlines for things that you have to accomplish because the deadline will guide you which to prioritize. You have to identify which one is urgent, which one is important but not urgent. Things like that. And then you have to rank according to priority, which one you will do first, which one you will do later, and then when is this supposed to be accomplished or not. So it's very important to have your deadlines. And having deadlines will also not allow you to procrastinate. Never procrastinate. No? Always have time management. Do some forms of time management so that you can accommodate all, and you will not be stressing yourself too much. If you budget and you plan well your academic life, then you are doing one of the 4 A's, no? Like avoid unnecessary stress. Then goals, and more goals. What does it mean? Why there are so many goals? No? This actually means that, of course, you have to set a goal, and then when the goal is quite complicated, then you have to chunk it. You have to cut it piece by piece. Like have one goal first, simple goal. When you're able to do it, then okay, you move to a more complicated goal. This time you have 2 or more goals to accomplish, and then you progress more to the complicated ones. So divide the task into chunks, doable tasks, doable chunks. Again, to eliminate unnecessary stress. And of course, in all these things, have your study plan. So, which course you will study first, which task will you do first, how much time will you give to this subject, how much time will you need to accomplish this project, things like that. It is always wise to be ready with a plan how you are going to attack your concerns or the demands of your academic life. And finally, when, as I mentioned, after doing all these things and still there are these problems that will bother you, that can overwhelm you, and they become unmanageable, and you felt that you are very burdened, you're already in a point of exhaustion, and you really do not know anymore what to do, now it's time to seek help. So why seek help for mental health? When you seek help for to people who know how to help you, it can improve your quality of life, it can improve your physical health, it can enhance your productivity. When you know what to do with all these things that overwhelms you, of course, it can make you more productive because you'll then be able to do appropriately what is to be done in your concern. And it can extend your lifespan. How so? Well, of course, when you have improved your quality of life, when you have improved your physical health, when you have protected yourself from the stressors, because you are now finding ways of how you are dealing with those stressors because of the help that you get from your mental health professional, then I think that really can extend your lives. So from whom should you seek help? Actually, in our experience, of course, we have our family, our relatives, our friends, our peers, our teachers, our coach, classmates, or our religious leaders, or some people in social media, or some people, they just express their burdens in social media. These are our sources of help. And yes, they are effective helpers for us. However, sometimes when our burdens are too much and are quite complicated, and then because our friends, our family, our classmates, sometimes they are not really trained in how to address people who are having some problems, much more people who are having some mental issues. So sometimes they may not be able to give the best advice, or they may not be able to listen well, to actively listen to the concern of the person, or your concern basically. So it is always wise and it is advisable that you also go to uh, mental health providers, mental health workers. See a counselor, see a therapist, book a session with a therapist or a psychologist or a counselor, a mental health workers, because these people are trained to, and they know how to deal and how to address whatever concern that you may raise them. So just a peek of what your counselor, what your therapist, or what your mental health worker do. They can offer a safe and confidential space to help you explore emotional problems, help you make sense of your world, help you explore feelings and thoughts to resolve emotional distress, help you towards a better understanding of yourself and others, which may improve your ability to relate to others. So basically, your therapist, your counselor will be there to give you that opportunity, that safe space, and that opportunity to become more clarified with your problem. And so you can make sense of it, and then you'll be able to see properly how these things are interrelated with each other, and hopefully you'll be able to sort it out yourself, what steps or what actions you can do in order to address this problem. So if you are ready to seek for help, then where should you go? Where to contact, whom to contact, where to go? If you want it online, I have an example here. No, there are organizations who offer counseling services online. So one example here is hashtag mental health PH. So if you search them in Facebook, hashtag mental health PH, then you can get, you can access them there. You can contact them, and then you can raise your concern to them. What is good in this website is that they have a listing of all organizations, at least registered organizations in the Philippines, who provides mental health support or who offers counseling services. And they also indicate there if the service is free or if the service is paid. So at least you know if you have the budget, whom to go to. If you don't have the budget, so whom to approach, because you can afford to pay for your session. So that's a good website that you can check. Now, in the local context, we have our guidance counselors at the Division of Student Affairs. I believe we have more than 10 guidance counselors assigned to different colleges. So they have their Facebook page. No, this picture here actually is their Facebook page. So you can also message them and reach to them so that you can connect with them and then seek help. Also, we have the psychology department and its students. They also created this FB page, the MSU Mental Health Drive, where actually they are offering peer counseling services. No? They call it the Convocare support group. So if you wanted somebody to listen to you, somebody whom you can share your burdens with without judgment, then maybe you can reach to this group, because they are doing some peer counseling. And if ever they felt that your problem is beyond their abilities to accommodate, then they will refer you. Sometimes they will refer you to faculty members of the Department of Psychology. Sometimes they may refer you to the DSA. So whichever it is that is acceptable to you. Okay, so my last message is that mental health is equally important with that of physical health. So, mens sana in corpore sano. We have always to strive having a sound mind in a sound body. So, with this, please let us make your mental health your priority. Thank you very much for your time watching this particular lecture. God bless.